Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask. Oh boy, do I have memories of that game. I remember when I was around 10 years old or younger, and I went to a Blockbuster store, when those were still a thing, and picked up a used copy of the game with its spiffy holographic decal. I was a huge fan of Ocarina of Time at that point in my life, so picking up this new Zelda game that I had no clue about just seemed like the right thing to do. But man, was I in for a rude awakening. I don't know what it was, but this game just didn't go easy on my young peanut brain, because I couldn't get through the game without holding the hand of an online walkthrough. I was so used to playing Ocarina of Time, and Majora's Mask was such a huge departure from that, making it a totally different experience that just didn't feel like the Zelda I knew. Link got turned into a Deku right at the beginning, I was in a totally foreign and mysterious place called Termina, and here comes the biggie. The 3-day cycle constantly reminded me that there was a gigantic, creepy, smiling moon hurtling towards the world. But now that I've grown up into a nerdy imbecile, and have a number of Zelda games under my belt, and have better honed my critical thinking skills, I'm much more prepared to take on the trials of Majora's Mask. I was hoping that Nintendo would take it upon themselves to remake the game on the Nintendo 3DS just like they did with Ocarina of Time, so I could really dive back into the world of Termina and experience it for myself, without holding the hand of a guide. And lo and behold, here we are now with The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask 3D. If you are unfamiliar with Majora's Mask, the game takes place several months after the events of Ocarina of Time, and Elf Boy Link has embarked on a quest to find his long-lost and nagging fairy friend Navi. Things turn sour pretty quickly though, as the mischievous Skull Kid pops up out of nowhere, donning the infamous Majora's Mask, steals Link's ocarina and horsey, and leads Link to the land of Termina, which is going to be destroyed in 3 days by the moon. Of course, as the hero he is, Link puts his cares aside and decides to take on the quest of saving Termina from the evil, vile, and powerful Majora's Mask. The two big ideas that set Majora's Mask apart from every other Zelda game out there at the time are the character transformations and the controversial 3-day time limit that is constantly breathing down your neck and pushing you ever forward. The transformations are pretty great though, as it opens up fun new ways to explore the world, whether you change into a Deku Scrub, a Goron, or a Zora. Not just being limited to what Link can do with his own skill set and items, these character transformations carry around a different feel and set of powers that will be essential to solving many of the game's puzzles. Plus, the character transformations have even been tweaked around a little bit, courtesy of the new and improved remake, with Zora Link being the most noticeable change. In the original, Zora Link would speed through the water like a dolphin ninja whenever you decided to go for a swim, but this wasn't exactly ideal when traveling through small corridors such as in the Great Bay Temple. Thankfully, this has been improved in Majora's Mask 3D, as Zora Link now swims at a much more tolerable pace, making it not so much of a hassle to get to where you need to go, as you won't be smacking your fishy brain against the wall every 5 seconds. Don't worry though, if you gotta go fast, you can just simply tap or hold the R trigger to speed up Mr. Fishman, and thus you can be one with the Dolphin Ninja. The infamous 3-day cycle is still wholly intact in this remake, giving you only 72 in-game hours to complete whatever's next up on your agenda. Otherwise, if you run out of time, you'll need to play the Song of Time and start over from day 1, with nearly all the progress you made being wiped clean. The way you go about dealing with the time limit though has been changed, and that's because of the new saving system. In the original, you could either create a temporary save file by yakking it up with an owl statue, or create a permanent save file by playing the Song of Time and resetting everything back to the first day. This has been overhauled in the remake though, as you can now create a permanent save file by talking to one of the owl statues, or the new feather statues, which are included to add more places to save your game now. All the while, the Song of Time will no longer have any bearing on saving your game. This is a fairly significant change, since the way saving was handled in the original made the 3-day cycle feel more threatening and stressful, as you would sprint to finish whatever needed to be done, while the new revised system lessened the impact on the player. It doesn't ruin it though, because it definitely still causes tension for the player, but now you can simply reload your save file in case you make a big goof. I really don't find the change to be that big of a nuisance or hindrance to the Majora's Mask experience, and it does make the game slightly more inviting for those who have never taken a dip in the world of Termina before. One awesome change that really streamlines the game is the new touchscreen controls that are brought over from Ocarina of Time 3D. Switching out items can be done in a jiffy now, and there's even one extra slot on the touchscreen where you can hold an item. so you can have 4 items at the ready rather than the original's limitation of only 3. It's actually really handy having that extra slot since masks play such a huge part in the game, and having 2 masks and 2 items readily available is an awesome addition to have. Plus, the numerous songs that you can play on the famous Ocarina can all be viewed easily on the touchscreen, so you don't have to hardwire them into your head like the original. The touchscreen controls are a huge asset to Majora's Mask, making item swapping much more convenient, as constantly opening up the menu in the original wasn't the greatest experience. Another thing that the 3DS provides are the gyroscopic controls to look around with the bow and hookshot, which is actually brought over from Ocarina of Time 3D. It works amazingly well, and it's so much better than hassling with a joystick, or in this case, a circle pad. It's much more precise, making it easier to hit your target, and I barely bothered using the circle pad at all to aim. It worked that well. Another feature that Nintendo added is a more extensive Bomber's Notebook, where you can keep track of pretty much every side quest in the game. The notebook has been enhanced with more entries in a new events section that includes ongoing, rumored, and completed events. Majora's Mask is one of the shortest Zelda games out there when it comes to its main storyline, since there are only 4 dungeons to explore and conquer, but side quests play a big part in making Majora's Mask Majora's Mask. Finding all 24 masks in the game can be quite a daunting task, but the new and improved Bomber's Notebook makes it easier than ever before, as it gives you more detailed information. It certainly helps you out, and I didn't get the feeling that it held your hand too much. Maybe a Majora's Mask veteran would feel that way, since they already know what to do in all the side quests, but for someone who's never done it before, the information the notebook provides is handy and eliminates some of the tediousness. Plus, Nintendo tweaked the Song of Double Time, which actually makes doing the side quests feel less like a chore. In the original, the Song of Double Time would only allow you to jump forward in time in 6-hour increments, but now you can choose any hour of the day, thus speeding up some of the side quests as some require you to be at places at a specific time. It helps to eliminate the time you would originally spend just aimlessly standing there waiting for the clock to tick by, which of course isn't fun. One tweak that they made that is just a little too handholdy has to do with the ice arrows and how you can only create ice platforms in specific sparkling spots. You can't just shoot anywhere and make a floating platform anymore, and having the glowing spots just kinda lessens the puzzling nature of the game as it basically builds a bridge for you to key areas. So no bueno. As a way to take a break from saving the land of Termina and whatnot, Nintendo added fishing to the list of things you can do. This is a brand spanking new addition to Majora's Mask, since it wasn't present at all in the original, and it works pretty similar to Ocarina of Time. It offers plenty to do to sidetrack you since there are numerous different fish to catch and various ways to get them, but it's not really my bowl of ice cream. But hey, it has more for you to do in Majora's Mask, and it is actually rather enjoyable when you snag a fishy and engage in a heart-pounding duel to the death. One thing that the Majora's Mask remake does extremely well is the awesome graphical overhaul. The visuals of the original are certainly dated, with its lack of vibrancy and muddy textures, but Grezzo did a mighty fine job polishing the game up, as it now looks so good that you wouldn't think it released all those years ago back on the Nintendo 64. It's like the game was originally made for the Nintendo 3DS, so bravo Grezzo! Bravo! Textures are more detailed now, and the colors have been ramped up so that they really pop. Plus, the stereoscopic 3D effect adds a nice sense of depth to the game, and this should help with judging distances in the 3D game world. Grezzo did get the remake to run at 30 frames per second with the 3D effect on, but I did encounter multiple times where it would dip considerably below that marker. But at least it wasn't something that was constantly happening throughout the game. On the other hand, the music is relatively the same as it was in the original. They did clean up the tracks so that the quality of them sounds better, but it's still the same old Majora's Mask. There are no new tracks as far as I'm aware, and they didn't remake any of the oldies. Though not every piece of the soundtrack is my cup of joe, I do really love the Clocktown, Deku Palace, and Icona Temple themes. They're just really catchy, and man has that Clocktown theme stuck with me over the years. But overall, Nintendo did a pretty grand job remaking the Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask on the Nintendo 3DS, with the addition of a yummy new coat of paint that really livens up the world of Termina and some of the new streamlined or tweaked mechanics, such as the convenience of the touchscreen. The game is now more accessible than ever before to those who have never touched Majora's Mask in their life, but it definitely still keeps its difficulty factor intact for the most part. Some Majora's Mask veterans might not like some of the newer changes made, such as the more elaborate Bomber's Notebook, but I enjoyed some of the hints they included to help move players along, so I wasn't wandering around aimlessly for minutes on end without having any clue on where to go next. So in all, the GamingPixelShow.com thinks The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask 3D is an amazing game. And that will bring us to the end of this review. And if you like what you saw, please give this video a thumbs up and add your favorites and all that good stuff, and you can stay tuned for more videos in the future. But I will talk to you in the next video, guys. Bye!